What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Going Rounds podcast. It is Christmas time. Christmas is almost here, and I got the Christmas vibes going because this is the last show before Christmas. We're less than a week out. Hopefully, everybody has their shopping done. Probably not. I believe I have all mine done. Maybe some stocking stuffers. That's the thing I always forget, but I need to get on it. It's the last thing that I've got. I believe I have everything else. Just waiting on the overall for the household. We're probably waiting on a couple things to come in. Otherwise, some wrapping needs to be done. And then the planning for the day, the weekend. It's so much harder now when it's so nice when the kids are little, you got a plan. Everybody is with that plan because they don't have a choice. They live here. They're little kids. They want their gifts, so they want to be here. But, of course, one of my daughters lives on her own now with her girlfriend, and that's fine. And they're gonna go do the thing with her girlfriend's family because they have little kids. They're gonna do Christmas morning and stuff. So we got to try to plan out like how things are going around here because it's different this year, a lot different than every other year. Last year I thought was going to be way different as well, and it didn't turn out to be so different. But this year's a little more challenging. But that's all right, things change. New traditions need to happen, or things just need to be upheld differently, I guess. So, and I struggle with some change sometimes. So these are things that I have to get used to, and I need to just do what I have to do to get through it and make sure that I don't get frustrated and I don't feel like, things aren't going my way. And it's not that I always want things to go my way, but sometimes I do. And it's just because I'm so used to Christmas with everyone being here at the house and, just the home life, the household life that is not that way anymore, and it's been that way. Thanksgiving was pretty easy to deal with. We had our Thanksgiving dinner and stuff like we would normally, so Thanksgiving wasn't so different. But Christmas is gonna be different enough to make me feel it. So but it's okay. I'm all right with it. Change happens, and I'm just grateful that everyone's here because it could be worse. They could have moved out of state. They could have moved somewhere where it's not so easy to come back and be home for the day. But we make it work. We make it happen, and it's all good. And I'm grateful for my family, and I love my kids, and I'm glad that they're growing up. And, well, they're grown up, but you know what I mean. They keep growing, and they keep doing what they got to do, and we just have to adjust, and that's okay. We'll make it happen. So anyway, I hope everyone else is having a good week. This week isn't a short week for most people, but next week will be, at least for me. It's a 3-day week for me for a couple weeks in a row, which is pretty awesome. I'm excited about that. Work hasn't been too crazy because we kicked ass this year. What else can I say? We kicked ass this year. We're not under the gun to get anything finished right now. We're caught up on everything, and that's good. It's a good feeling, and I'm proud of my guys for sticking through it and making it happen because it was a rough one this year. So we had a lot of stuff happen, but all of a sudden just everything flowed. We got into this like crazy flow state, and everyone was clicking, and we were just getting shit done, and that's a damn good feeling. So I'm pretty proud of that, and I'm happy that my guys have come through for me. We have an extra addition to the team now, which is even more helpful, and he's kicking ass already too. So I'm pretty happy about that, and I'm grateful for it. So that's good, and I'm just ready for these extra days off. It's the holidays, so it's always going to be hectic, but it's going to be fun. So I'm looking forward to it. This week is already almost done. It's Thursday. It's podcast day, and that's why we're here. So we're here to talk about some combat sports news. I had to get the family Christmas stuff in there and out of the way, but the Christmas vibes will keep flowing throughout the show. So you can see my background going there, and we'll have some more coming up. I always get some kind of background going with something interesting just to keep it interesting, I guess. And this time we had to go with the festive Christmas stuff. So hopefully everyone likes it. If you're here and you're watching live, don't forget the chat's open if you want to discuss anything, if you have any questions, if you have any comments. And if you're watching this later, comment anyway and let me know how you like the show or if you had a comment on anything that I talked about. And don't forget to like and subscribe as usual. Help me grow the channel. It's been a little over a year now, and now at the end of this year, I've got all this crazy equipment. I've struggled through a bunch of technical difficulties. I've struggled through learning how to get through a lot of this stuff. But man, every time I look at my setup here, I'm like, man, I would have never guessed I'd be doing this, and I would have never guessed that I would have all of this. So I'm happy for it. I'm grateful for it. And it's just, sometimes I forget to take a step back and be like, damn, I got this going. And I have my own podcast. Like, that's never, ever something I'd ever thought I'd have. And I still, over a year later of podcasting, I still sit back and kind of trips me out. And then I start thinking about the fact that it's not grown as fast as I hoped. And, I still don't, I still mess up basically a lot. And that's all right. A lot of things don't happen that quickly. And for me, this is just for me. And I'm glad that people support me. And I appreciate all that from all of you that do support me. And I'm just here to have a good time, talk about the things I'm passionate about, which is MMA, combat sports. I love all of it. I've been following it for so fucking long, so long at this point. If I added up all the money I spent on all combat sports events since I started watching, it's crazy. It's crazy. And I've seen a lot of historic events, watching live. I've been to a few fights, some fan expos. I've met a bunch of fighters. It's fun. It's cool. And I'm happy that I get to do it. So for once, I'm being positive. I'm not positive all the time. I'm just real a lot of times, and I see the flaws in things that I do and things that happen, and I get negative about them sometimes, and I hate that about myself. But, I just work through it, and I try my best to make it better and try to be more positive. And maybe that's something I'll try to do a lot more and try a lot harder at this year coming up. I quit with the New Year's resolution bullshit, because it usually is bullshit. It's like, if I just want to do something, I need to just do it. So sometimes, though, it's nice to have that fresh start. You're like, oh, it's a new year. When you write the date down, or when you type in the date somewhere, you got to write a new one. And so it could be a new day for you, a new year for you, a new week, a new month, whatever the new thing is that makes you start something. Fuck it, do it. And that's something I try to remind myself all the time. I don't need to wait till Monday. I don't need to wait till next month. I don't need to wait till January 1st. Sometimes I just need to shut the fuck up and do it. And that's what I did with this podcast. And that's why I'm here doing it now. Because if I would have never just sacked up and did it, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be here doing this. So again, I appreciate everybody that watches and supports me. And I hope that I can keep doing this for a good amount of time, and hopefully keep growing and get that creative stuff in my head going again to try to make things a little different and have it catch on a little more. A little bit of growth at a time, I'll take it. So I'm just hoping that that's what happens, and happy to keep doing this. So let's get into it. Let's get into all of the stuff that I'm here to do, which is talk about combat sports and MMA. And yeah, with the UFC out for a few weeks after this past weekend, which was the last pay-per-view of the year, there's not going to be a whole lot of things going on. So next week, as of right now, my plan is to do a podcast next week, but I guess I can just recap the boxing that's happening this weekend, because it is a big boxing weekend. Riyadh season's in effect. big names boxing on a card all together, happening on Saturday, I believe. And yeah, it's going to be a good one, it seems like. So there'll be something to cover. And then, of course, there's always news happening throughout the weeks, with combat sports and MMA especially. And I'm always watching for those UFC updates and UFC news. So we'll see what comes about. Maybe I'll just make it a quick one. Maybe it'll be pre-recorded. Who knows? But something will come out next week. So be on the lookout for that. And again, subscribe, hit that notification bell. You'll know if I put something out there. So let's get into it right now and get started with the normal beginning combat sports news. And we'll start with Jake Paul versus Andre August. Not sure if anybody tuned into this. I didn't get to watch it live, but of course, as soon as I saw the highlights, I was consuming all of it because I kind of forgot. I kind of forgot that it was on. I knew it was going to be on, but I also, at the time that maybe it was going to be on, I forgot that it was on. So, but you know what? Jake Paul did it again. And of course, he's got haters left and right. And I'm not surprised. And I'm indifferent about the whole thing. I don't care. I'm covering it because he's trying to do something that other people aren't doing, regardless of what his approach is. It's commendable to a certain extent. Now, Jake Paul does everything for clout, whether he says it or not. And this is something he's trying to get the recognition in boxing the correct way, is what he said. He fought someone who has a similar record to his. Andre August's record. It was actually a little better, but all I heard was how he's fought nobody that is of any notoriety whatsoever. But then again, that's what boxing is. They give him tomato cans. They give him cans, whatever you want to call it. I've heard every which way to describe basically an easy opponent, a shitty opponent, an opponent with a crappy record. Whatever it is, that's how they start people in boxing. It's a well-known fact. They call it the sweet science for multiple reasons, and that might be one of them. And it's also because boxing is just that kind of a sport. It's not always a dirty sport, but in the higher levels of the people that run boxing, it's a bit corrupt, and there's no way around that. So these guys that are involved in professional boxing have to go through a certain array of opponents, whether it be really shitty opponents or it be opponents that people just don't know. And this guy's somebody nobody knew, and then he's gonna fight people nobody know until he starts making a name for himself, becomes like Mike Tyson and starts knocking everybody out within seconds. Everyone's got to start from somewhere, so that's how it goes. And as soon as you get one loss in boxing, it's like it's all over. You got to start all over again. So, and MMA, one loss doesn't mean shit most of the time. Everyone makes a big deal about that undefeated record, but as soon as it goes away, it's like, oh, the undefeated record's gone. Let's see how he bounces back or she bounces back. And then you wait and see. And then their career keeps going. A lot of people don't bounce back as much as you would hope. It depends on how long that undefeated record went for. It was like 4, 5, 6 fights, no big deal. It gets to the double digits, and then they might not know how to recover because they're used to only winning. But anyway, Jake Paul was 7-1. Andre August was 10-1. They both have similar amounts of knockouts. Jake Paul has 4. Andre August has 5. So, what are we doing here? Because Jake Paul's not fighting someone who's just gonna give him, all kinds of media. That's not gonna have all kinds of attention on it. That's what everybody said they wanted. They said, go fight real boxers. Oh, well, all of a sudden, he's not fighting a real boxer because this guy ain't shit. Come on. Oh, my camera. I thought I got rid of that problem. That's annoying. I hope that doesn't keep happening because that's going to distract me. But anyway, what is it? This guy, he's not Canelo. And you would talk shit if Jake Paul was fighting Canelo. You would talk shit if Jake Paul was fighting Floyd Mayweather. You would talk shit if he was fighting Ryan Garcia, even though obviously that's different weight classes. So is Floyd Mayweather. But if he's doing anything, people are talking shit, and that's fine. I would talk shit about him all the time too. I'm just watching the progression here, and what he's trying to do, I give him props for. He's trying to do it, and that's fine. And his antics sometimes piss me off and they annoy me, but they're nothing along the lines of a Sean Strickland, or even worse, a Colby Covington. If you watch this weekend, you know what I mean. Colby Covington is the fucking worst, and Jake Paul's antics are cringy and annoying, but I don't hate him like I have hate for those guys. But he's just trying his best to do it. So when it comes down to it, you can't deny what he has done. And what he's done is gotten 4 knockouts before this that were highlight reel knockouts. And he did it again. Here you go. Watch it. Talk shit about it. I know you will. Everyone says it's fake. Everyone says this. Everyone says that. There's your KO. But tell me how it's fake. The guy got hit in the chin. That doesn't look like the best punch in the world, but you can tell that it landed. You can tell it landed flush, and you can tell that homeboy got hit hard. And he went down, and he didn't get up right away. So that knockout was legit. It is what it is. He fought a boxer that's supposed to be at his level, and there you go. What else is there to say except for just talking shit because you don't like Jake Paul? That's fine. That's fine. Talk your shit. But this whole thing about being fixed and about being fake and all this other shit, I get it. That angle that was shown, you can watch from many of different angles now because the highlights are all out there, but that angle that was shown right there, it's tough to see, and that's why I picked that one to show, because then I was going to follow up with this picture, because there you go. And I'm not like a Jake Paul fan. I'm not a big fan of Jake Paul. I'm not out here trying to, advocate for him, but what I'm saying is he's trying his best to do something here, and what he's been doing with boxing and what he's tried to do with MMA. Why? I mean, just hate him if you will, that's fine, but I don't know why the talk about the fake fighting and all this shit. Like, I just hope he just keeps playing it up and lets it play out. Like, just keep getting your opponents, keep fighting, see what happens. And he's not going to pay attention to anybody saying he can't do it or any of that shit. If anything, maybe it'll motivate him. Who knows? I'm just wanting to see where this goes and how it progresses, so I'm following it. That's all there is to it. But the fake fight shit is played out. The fixed fight shit is played out. Just let it be and see what happens. That's my thoughts on it. And, again, I give Jake Paul some props, especially because he does things like this, which, moving past the fight, that's the highlight of it. There's nothing else to talk about. Everything else is just whatever. It is what it is. Fucking, you're going to talk shit anyway. So there's no reason to dive deeper into any of this. The highlight fucking reel is that knockout. That's what happened. And when it comes down to it, it happened quick. Let me just, I guess I'll look into it real fast. Oh shit, I don't even know. You know what? Who gives a shit? I don't even know what round it happened in. But let's go back. Hold on. Let me see if it says. Nope, doesn't say, but there it is. So, whatever. It happened. Jake Paul knocked him the fuck out. Let's see who his next opponent is. Let's see what his next challenge is. Let's see what he does next. There was no big hype around this fight. There was nothing crazy. You didn't see it all over the place because he's not fighting somebody that's why. Because he's not fighting somebody that's gonna fucking... It's not gonna be the big money fight. It's not gonna be the big media fight. It's not gonna be the big social media fight. He's fighting a legit boxer, like on the come up, like any other boxer would. What brings the attention is him, his name, Jake Paul. That's what it is. But with that name, he's also trying to do good things, and that's why I've gained a bit more respect for him as opposed to the way I felt about him before. And this is why. Because yes, when you see this Jake Paul USA Boxing Paris 2024, he's got the USA Boxing on his gloves. He's got the USA flag on his shoulder. Olympics in Paris, blah, 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 blah. But he's not competing. He's not trying to be all of that. That's not what he's doing. His statement says, I'm honored to partner with USA Boxing as the 2024 Paris Olympics approach. I'll be training with the Olympic squad in Colorado Springs this winter and accompanying them to Paris this July to amplify our country's best amateur boxers. My commitment, he said, my commitment to boxing is much more than mine in my in-ring accomplishments. I am determined to make my impact outside the ring bigger than anything I do within it. I believe the United States has the best boxers. Let's put it to the test. Anyone who works hard enough to fight for their country in the most iconic contest has my support. Team USA, let's go. See y'all in Paris. And that's what I'm saying. You know, he's saying that, you know, what he's doing inside the ring is nothing compared to what he's going to do outside the ring. So, and that's why I say, you know, I can't hate him. I can't hate him like I used to. I can't, because I have to give him props and give him kudos and all that shit for what he's doing and what he puts out there. And if it turns out to all be fake, it is what it is. Stupid me, I guess. But for now, I see it as a positive, and I'll take it as a positive. And now he's 8-1 with 5 knockouts. So that's a pretty damn good record. What up, Trent? That's my Tenant Trent in the chat watching. Thanks for watching, Trent. Go follow her everywhere. But yeah, he's 8-1 now with five knockouts, 5 finishes. So let the man be. I know nobody will, but I say let's see what else he's got in store for us as far as support for all of these combat sports that he's trying to be involved with, and let's see where he goes with it. Maybe he'll turn into a great fighter. Maybe he'll just be mediocre but do really good things for the sport. All of it's good. Let's go. I just say keep it going, Jake Paul. Now, as far as Logan Paul boxing anymore, please don't do it. There you go. There's your shade that maybe you were looking for me to throw. Moving on though to the real boxing, if that's what you want to call it. We got the Riyadh season in effect, and that is the Saudi Arabian season that they do now. Or have done. I don't know. I don't even know the history of it. All I know is it's been big lately. Riyadh season is what everyone talks about because that's where the big fights happen in Saudi Arabia. We've had a few of them already. Jake Paul fought in Saudi Arabia against Tommy Fury. So yeah, they're holding big events over there, and they're throwing money left and right. So yeah, of course they're going to have a gigantic event like this. And this is kind of unheard of. You don't really see this in boxing. But we have some of the biggest names in boxing fighting on this card, including Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder, Dimitri Bivol. A lot of these guys that are big names right now in the sport of boxing are fighting on this card. Now, it'd be better if Anthony Joshua was fighting Deontay Wilder, but it sounds like they have come to an agreement and everyone has agreed on all sides with everything for them to fight and have, I think they said 3. Was it 3? I think it was a 3-fight deal. So, a trilogy in case one win to each and then a tiebreaker if it goes that way. Otherwise, who knows how they're going to work it out. But as of right now, that's in effect too, which is weird because boxing, they keep doing this. It's just like Tyson Fury fought Francis Ngannou, and before the fight even happened, Tyson Fury signs about to fight Alexander Usyk before he even knows what's going to happen in this fight. And it was supposed to happen this year, this month actually, but that didn't wind up happening. They pushed it. I think it's happening in February, but they pushed that fight because obviously you probably needed more time. But yeah, it would have been, it's just weird. It's just weird how they're doing this. They're announcing fights ahead of time before these guys even have their next fight that's actually scheduled and ready to go. So, but anyway, this is what's happening here in Saudi Arabia. Big time fight card happening December 23rd, I believe. Yes, December 23rd. And of course, it's going to be 11 a.m. Eastern, which means it's going to be super early over on the West Coast. And for us, that's going to be pretty early. But, and it's a pay-per-view. It's a $39.99 pay-per-view on ESPN Plus. So you can head on over there where you would normally buy the UFC pay-per-views, and you can get that fight card there if you're into boxing and you want to check it out. But let's see, we have the first name I was just gonna go through real quick was Dimitri Bivol versus Lyndon Arthur. Damn, I forgot his first name. But that's a WBA light heavyweight super championship, I guess. But again, I don't follow boxing that closely, so I don't really know the ins and outs of everything. But I do know that this is a pretty big fight. Bivol is one of those names that gets thrown around a lot. A lot of people talk and hype him up because he's a great boxer. He's beaten Canelo, apparently. Includes a May victory over, against Canelo. So, and then, let's see, who else? Daniel Dubois is fighting against Philip Hergovic. I can't say that dude's name. And then there's some other guys on here that I don't know either. But, I mean, I know that this is going to be a pretty big fight. And then we move into the even bigger names, the even bigger fight. Deontay Wilder versus... wow, I just completely lost this dude's name. Joseph Parker. Fuck, I was going to say Anthony Parker, but that's Anthony Joshua. But anyway, Deontay Wilder, 43-2-1 with 42 KOs. He's a co-headliner with Joseph Parker, who is 33-3 with 23 KOs. So, I mean, this is what I'm talking about. Boxing is crazy, man. The only way you can get up to 42 KOs is if you're fighting dudes that are kind of below your level and you're stacking your record. You want to see a record like that. 43 wins with 42 KOs, that brings the money, that brings the eyes, that's what makes the money. So why are we talking shit about I would talk shit about it in general because I think it's a shit method of bringing up fighters. I think the harder fights you get, after you get a couple easy fights, but then right away you got to start stepping up the competition and keep it going. Seems to work a little better in MMA that way. You find out right away if this person's gonna go far or not. But in boxing, you gotta have like 50 some fights, and then all of a sudden it's like, ooh, he's a star now. He finally stopped fighting all these fucking easy guys. But that's just my thoughts and my opinions on boxing. Sometimes it just doesn't make sense to me. Anyway, Deontay Wilder going for his 44th win and hoping to get that so that he walks into that Anthony Joshua fight, which I'm sure will be next. With some confidence and not with a loss hanging over his head. But then we get Anthony Joshua. So again, this is a weird card because you got these two guys who are set to fight sometime in the near future, and right now they're fighting here. Anthony Joshua versus Otto Wallin. Joshua's 26-3 with 23 KOs. See what I'm saying here? Otto Wallin is 26-1 with 14 KOs. And you know, we've seen Joshua get caught by Ruiz and get knocked out. And you know, he's got 3 losses on his record, but we've seen him knock people the fuck out as well. Obviously, he's got 23 out of his 26 wins or KOs. So that should be interesting. I don't know much about Wallin. Like I said, I don't follow boxing that closely. I don't follow it that much. So when it comes down to it, it says Otto Wallin pushed lineal champ Tyson Fury to the absolute brink in a 2019 Thriller. Wallin's only career loss was to Tyson Fury. So there you go. Who knows what kind of competition he had otherwise, but he's fought in a competitive fight with Tyson Fury. And even though he lost, it's his only loss. So who knows? Maybe he gives Anthony Joshua a hell of a fight. And that's going to weigh on Joshua if that Deontay Wilder fight comes up pretty quick after that. But that about does it for the boxing for me, because again, I can't go too deep. This is what I know, and I know it's a big night of fights, and that's what I'm here to talk about is the big night of fights with these big names. And it's kind of a crazy card because I know boxing doesn't usually do that many big names on one fight card. So enjoy it if you want to watch it. $39.99 on ESPN Plus, happening Saturday. Oh yeah, it is Saturday, but it'll be Saturday morning early here. So if you want to watch it, go check it out. Let's move on to some other combat sports. Karate Combat 43 happened in Las Vegas. Now, this is the 43rd event, and I've never really covered it, but that's because I've heard of other former UFC fighters fighting in this event, and it seems pretty cool. They have a little like pit that they fight in. They don't fight in a cage. They don't fight in a ring. It's like a pit with like angled walls and stuff, which is pretty crazy. I have seen some crazy highlights coming out of this event, but in this one, we had Anthony Pettis versus Benson Henderson. Benson Henderson being a guy who just retired not too long ago from MMA, but decided to get in on this Karate Combat fight game that they got going on here. And this happened last weekend. And, you know, this would make the, I think, third time or the fourth time. I think it might have been the third time that Henderson and Pettis has fought each other. But I mean, it seemed pretty cool. A lot of people were excited about it. I heard a lot of good things coming out of this event, as far as you know, all the rumblings on social media and stuff. It does say that they met each other twice in MMA, so this would be the trilogy fight. Both times Pettis came out with the win when it came to MMA, including that first time with the Showtime kick. That's a badass highlight. If you haven't seen it, go just Google Showtime kick Anthony Pettis, and you'll see against Benson Henderson, jumping off that cage wall and fucking kicking Benson in the face. Pretty insane, and it was dope. And that was, I think that was the last WEC fight before the UFC absorbed that organization. Fucking camera. Oh man, for so long it didn't do it, and here we go, and it just did it twice in a row. So that's sad. I might have to look into getting a different camera, because that's gonna drive me crazy. And I know I said that before, but it stopped. I changed some settings. I moved some things around, and it's doing it again. So that's a goddamn shame. Anyway, back to the fights. So it looks, you know, we had some other former UFC fighters as well fighting under the Karate Combat headline there, and that's Smiling Sam Alvey, who I believe also retired from MMA not too long ago, and now he's fighting in the heavyweight division, I believe, for Karate Combat. And cash buying this beer. So that's a funny name too, Social Sewage. Oh, okay, I guess they deleted their comment, or not. Let's see. I guess so. Shit. That was kind of a funny that was a funny comment. I guess they deleted it. I'm not sure what happened, but someone with the name Social Sewage, I don't know what happened to your comment, but it went away. But they said it was a crap card and don't waste your money. Which I'm assuming he's talking about the boxing card, and I get it. I can understand why some people would say that, but you know, listen, I don't know. I'm just talking about the fights that are happening here. But anyway, Sam Alvey retired from MMA, like I said, not too long ago, and now he's a heavyweight champ in Karate Combat. That's a crazy kind of looking belt. I don't know if I like it very much, but he is a title holder now. So good for Sam Alvey. He's a good dude. He gets that win. And then in the Pettis versus Benson Henderson fight, we had some action going apparently, because they had to go to a sudden death round in order to come up with a winner. It looks like they did. So I don't know exactly what the setup of the rounds and stuff are, But whatever. They went to a sudden death round, and Anthony Pettis came out with the win. But it sounded like a pretty good fight according to what everyone said. I didn't get a chance to watch it. I don't know if this is like a pay-per-view event or if you can just watch it anywhere. It says you can watch the replay of the fight in the video above on the webpage. Oh, okay. So I guess you can just watch it on YouTube. Shit, I missed out. I should have known that probably. I'm sure I did, but I just didn't think of it. But either way, Anthony Pettis gets a third win over Benson Henderson in what sounded like a pretty fun fight. And congrats to Sam Alvey getting a title in the heavyweight division of Karate Combat. So let's move on to some kind of sad news. Brittney Palmer announced that this past weekend for UFC 296 would be her last event, being a ring card girl. She's been around for a long ass time. I spoke of WEC earlier, where Pettis and Henderson first fought with that Showtime kick, but Brittney Palmer was a ring card girl there as well, and moved into the UFC and has been a staple when it comes to ring card girls in the UFC, and one of the most notable names in the UFC as far as ring card girls are considered. And you know, she's pretty talented as well. She's a talented artist, and for those of you that are looking for it, she'll still be around. Follow her social media, and she has an OnlyFans, so you can go check that out. I mean, it sounds like she's not stopping that. So there you go. Fun fact. But she's been around for a hell of a long time, for as long as I've been watching fights, for sure. That I started paying attention and knowing who everyone in the background was, commentators, ring card girls, all that stuff. You start getting to know these people, and then you realize when they're there and they're the ones that you see all the time. And Brittney Palmer and Ariyanny Celeste were always those ones. So I wish Brittney Palmer luck in anything she's doing outside of being one of the most notable ring card girls. But the reason why it's so sad as well is because Ariyanny Celeste, who I just mentioned, is also retiring. I'm not sure what she's going off to do. She also has an OnlyFans. That's one of the few things I do know. You watch her social media and you know that. And I'm sure you can see it all over the internet as far as like people talking about her and being on OnlyFans, because that's like a news thing now. Like whenever somebody has an OnlyFans, people talk about it everywhere. So, or maybe, yeah. But I'm not sure what she's moving on to do, but she does do that, so you can follow her there or on any of the social media to find out what she's doing next. But she has also decided to retire, which is crazy. But these two girls have been pretty close the entire time. It seems like if you watch any of their social media, seems like they're always hanging out, always around each other, and like they're best friends. So it's, you know, kind of it's not so surprising that they both decided at the same time to retire. But I did see on Ariyanny's Instagram that it looked like she was doing interviews or something backstage, kind of like what Megan O'Leary does to some certain extent. So who knows, maybe she's looking to stay in front of the camera in a different way with the UFC and keep working with them. It doesn't look like Brittney Palmer's doing anything like that, but who knows, it could have just been a funny thing that Ariyanny was doing. I guess we'll have to wait and see. She said big things coming soon in that post. Don't know if that means with the UFC or not, but I wish her luck as well. Like I said, her and Brittney have always been the most recognizable and notable fight card girls in the UFC. Ariyanny's been around longer than Brittney, but not by much. And yeah, there's always been talks about them, and they've always been the ones that you kind of look out for when it comes to, you know, watching the backgrounds of the fights and seeing these girls walking around with the cards and being there at the weigh-ins and everything like that. If you've ever watched more than a few UFCs, I'm sure you know who they are, or you've at least seen them before. So good luck to both of them. Like I said, I've watched this sport for a long time. I've watched the UFC for a long time, and I remember them from way back when. So I had to give it a little bit of attention. But yeah, that about does it for combat sports news. And now we move into UFC 296. Edwards versus Covington. Pantoja versus Royval 2. 2 title fights in one night, last UFC pay-per-view of the year. And I mean, for me, I think it was a good night of fights. The main card, it was a bit disappointing. I would say just because it was slow. If you watched the prelims were fucking crazy. There was some crazy fights in the prelims. Oh shit, I just kicked my camera. That's cool. Hopefully I didn't shake too much. But yeah, there was some crazy fights. The violence was real. And it was entertaining. So that's probably what made the main card seem not so fun, because it was a long time. It took a long time because both title fights went all 5 rounds, and that usually means a long night. But there was only 5 fights on the main card, so that helped a little bit. You know, it seemed like all of a sudden we were into the first title fight out of nowhere. I mean, this fight card had some, you know, canceled fights. The Ian Gary Vicente Luque fight was canceled, but they moved Josh Emmett and Bryce Mitchell up a slot from the prelims into the main card. So there was always meant to be 5 fights on this main card, but it was just supposed to be a different fight up there. So altogether there was a couple fights that were lost, but this main card it started off with a bang, and then it just got kind of slower and slower. It went up a little bit and then came back down. But the watch party was fun. Thanks for the guys from Technically Unsound Podcast for joining me on that, and Trin, who was in the chat a little bit ago. Tenant Trin jumping in on the podcast as well, live with me here in the room in the studio. So that was fun. Watch parties are always fun. If you watch all my social media, or check out the podcast whenever, be on the lookout for that watch party, because I'm having them more often now. And with my, with having extra mics and stuff, I'm always trying to have other guests and things like that in here. And if nothing else, you can always come watch Ted and Trent in here watching the fights with us as well. And the guys from the Technically Unsound Podcast, which also is a podcast I'm a part of, with Tommy and Magix, and we do that on Sundays and Tuesdays, 8 p.m. Arizona time. So go check it out. We go live on YouTube those 2 nights, and yeah, check that out if you are wanting to see me talk about other things other than MMA and combat sports. But back to UFC 296. Watch party was fun. I wish we would have watched the prelim fights instead of the main fights, but it was still fun. Now in the prelims, like I was saying, there was some crazy fights down there. A lot of finishes. Andre Fili. Oh, you know what? Before I move on, there was also some fucking fights in the in the audience as well. I'm sure you heard about this, but and if you didn't see it yet, I'm about to show you. Sean Strickland and Dricus du Plessis. Now, Sean Strickland kind of stuck up for Leon Edwards. No, really did stick up for Leon Edwards against Colby Covington when Colby started talking this bullshit involving Leon's dad, who passed away a long time ago, was murdered of all things, and Colby decided to make that into something he wanted to use for entertainment and clout, which is dumb. Trying to get attention or whatever. But we'll get into that a little more down the way here. But Sean Strickland and Dricus du Plessis were in a press conference the night after, and Dricus decided to bring up some bullshit about Sean Strickland's dad, who he's been open about saying that he got abused and stuff like that, brought up in all kinds of bad ways. And Dricus decided to say some shit about that too. Sean O'Malley got involved in that as well. So Sean Strickland had some choice words for both those guys, but with du Plessis being Strickland's next opponent next month for the first UFC pay-per-view of the year for 2024, it'll be Sean Strickland versus Dricus. And yeah, they got into it, of course. Sean Strickland doesn't ever shut up, so he had things to say. And I love what he said in defense of Leon Edwards and all that, and for defending himself against Dricus with the shit he was saying. But they did some ignorant shit in the stands. It was entertaining, but here you go. Sean Strickland told some kids to get out of the way. and then went after Drickus and started dropping elbows on him. As you can see, DDP's pretty heated. And Strickland wound up leaving the arena. They didn't kick him out, but they told him to go to the back, and then he left. So that was pretty crazy to see in the stands. But in the cage, you get a big KO from Andre Fili as well. And yeah, this was a good KO for Fili because he needed this one. There we go. And yeah, it was a good KO from him. Just to finish up with the Strickland thing, I forgot. The one thing I did hear was Joe Rogan was talking about how it was kind of like you don't really want to see your middleweight champion fighting in the stands with kids and women around, other people that can get hurt, innocent bystanders and stuff like that. I mean, I tend to agree. It's entertaining and all, but it was kind of crazy to watch it go down like that. It's like, dude, sometimes people just gotta wait and maybe see each other backstage or something. But anyway, the action continued in the cage. Andre Fili TKO over Lucas Almeida in the first round. It was fast. It was furious. You just saw it happen. And that puts Andre Fili back in the win column because he had a loss from July against Nathaniel Wood. That was a unanimous decision loss. But yeah, he was looking to get back in the win column, and he did in pretty big fashion with that nice knockout. And he is known, to have heavy hands and be able to knock people out like that. He doesn't have a ton of knockouts on his record, but he does have good power in his hands, and he showed it. So let's see, the first four fights? We had Shamil Gaziev with a TKO over Martin Boudet in the second round. In that heavyweight fight, we had this one with Andre Fili and Lucas Almeida. Tagir Ulanbekov versus Cody Durden. That was a submission by Face Crank. Ulanbekov getting that win in the flyweight division. And then we've got this one, Ariyanny Lipski versus Casey O'Neill. Lipski gets this nasty armbar submission. Look at, first of all, Casey O'Neill looks like what's Trent, if you're still in the chat, tell me what that horror movie is with that girl that bends backwards and crawls. You know what I'm talking about, damn it. Anyway, well, the girl's all distorted in this horror movie and looks all crazy. But Trent would know right away if she's listening still. But anyway, Casey O'Neill looks like that crazy shit. But that is a nasty armbar. I'm pretty sure if she didn't break that arm, she definitely tore some ligaments or something, because Casey O'Neill was hanging that arm pretty bad when that was over with. So that was a crazy good submission by Lipski in the flyweight division. She's named the Queen of Violence, and well, I mean, that was a violent finish. It may not have been on the feet. The ring. Oh, okay. Yeah, I think you're right, Trent. But that was Lipski's third win in a row. The prior two wins were decisions, but this one was an exciting submission finish in the second round for Lipski. So then we move on to Cody Garbrandt with this crazy knockout over Brian Kellaher, which slowed down like this. You see it. It's obvious. It's right on the chin. Bam. Look at that contact there. But when you saw it in real time, it didn't look like that. You kind of wondered what happened. Look how quick that was. And then Brian just goes down and grabs his face, and it's over. So it looked kind of crazy until you saw that slow-mo from the different angle. But, Cody gets the win. It was a big win for Cody Garbrandt, man. That was a good one for him. Back looking like the old Cody in the bantamweight division. First round TKO. And that marks his second win in a row this year as well. So let's see who they give him next, because this was a pretty good matchup, and this was a matchup made by the guy that the UFC hired just from winning a contest that he got to make a matchup in the UFC and have it followed through. And this was the matchup he made. Pretty damn good one, if you ask me. It was an exciting, good fight for the short time it lasted, and to watch Cody Garbrandt get that kind of a big knockout win was pretty exciting. I like Brian Kellaher too, but this night was just not his night. And yeah, that punch looked like it hurt, because man, with not too many guys will grab their face after getting punched like that, so that it had to be a big one. But the violence continued with this crazy ass fight. Irene Aldana versus Carol Rosa. Holy shit. This is why the main event seemed boring as fuck, because you get that knockout, that Andre Fili knockout, you get a couple submissions, that crazy armbar submission, the face crank by Tiger, and then Cody with the crazy knockout, and then you get to this violence. Violence is all I can say. It just started off violent and it ended violent. There was no KO. It was a decision, and it was a unanimous decision for Irene Aldana. But holy shit, was it entertaining. And just by watching the sequence of pictures I have here, if you're not watching this, take a look later. You can watch and listen on Spotify, by the way, if you don't want to go to YouTube. But just throw that in there real quick. But yeah, this was a bloody mess of a fight. Both women were bloodied up, and it was violent. Like I said, both of them took lots of punches to the face, to the chin, to the head, everywhere. Body shots like this. Nasty body shots. Look at Rosa's face. Holy fuck. And we're gonna get more of that right here. Oh shit. Before that though, I messed up. There's a nice little uppercut from Irene Aldana, adding to that bloody mess of a face that Rosa has. But look at Aldana's face, is all fucked up as well. And then there you go, some of that damage. A bit more of just a still shot of how bad her eye is, how bloodied her face is. Look at those cuts. And she's a warrior. She stood there and kept taking it and kept giving it. You saw Irene Aldana's face as well. Oh shit, I did it again. There we go. Irene Aldana's face right there. They just whooped each other's ass, and it was fun. And it was fun to see. It was a crazy fight, and it could have gone either way. But in the end, I think the judges just saw how damaged and how beat up Rosa was. No matter how bloodied and beat up Irene Aldana was, they just saw it in Irene's favor. Unanimous decision win. But I mean, this is a crazy picture too. Aldana with the win, with her hand up, and Rosa just looking defeated. And I bet she felt that way too after taking a beating like that and giving one out as well. But unfortunately for her, this was Aldana's night, and she walked away with that win. But that was such an entertaining fight. It was so fun to watch, and fuck, man, I got to give it to both of them. Such warriors for standing in there and putting on a fucking show like that, and being so bloodied up and continuing, no one giving up. Fun as shit. That's what it's about. I don't really want to see people getting fucking brain damage and just getting their heads beat in, but this was like not that kind of fight. It was bloody and it was violent, but it was, they showed their talent, and it was a good tactical fight. And it was a good fight. It wasn't completely one-sided for the most part. It was tough to watch all the way through and know exactly who's winning. Even though Aldana got the unanimous decision win, I thought it was a good close fight, and it was fun. So that definitely got a bonus for them, and it was, yeah, I just got to give it up to them. Then we get to the main card though. This was scary as fuck, because look at that power behind Josh Emmett's fucking fist flying into Bryce Mitchell's face, and Bryce Mitchell goes out, like out, done, stiff, done. Look at this contact here. Oh shit, I forgot I don't have a still. Anyway, this was Josh Emmett as he knocked him out. Of course, adrenaline pumping, and in the moment, Herb Dean pulls him away, but Emmett did not follow up with any punches. He knew he was done. He knew it was over. Did not follow up with any punches, and that's good, because the scary part about this is that Bryce Mitchell went into convulsions shortly after this picture was taken, and Josh Emmett was not celebrating anymore. Commendable by him. You know, even Tommy mentioned he's like, why do you have to scream in his face like that? Because he was pumped up. He's fired up. He got the win. There was no bad blood or animosity between these guys, but that's just a fighter in the moment. It's not like he didn't throw any extra punches. He didn't spit on him or nothing. He just was fired up, screamed while he was staring at him. It does look bad, but everything he did was all class, man. Besides the visual of this, him not following it up with any punches, which wouldn't have been good for Bryce Mitchell in the state that he was in, and the fact that he felt bad, didn't continue to run around and celebrate. He went and took a knee, actually, and was like, holy shit, I hope he gets up, because then the UFC cuts over and they're showing Bryce Mitchell convulsing on the ground, which was scary as shit. Don't get me wrong, in some weird kind of way, we like seeing that shit. Not like it as in, oh, this is fucking fun and cool, but you hear about these things happening and you're just kind of like, I want to see what's going on. And then when they don't show it, you're like, God damn it. But then they do show it and you're like, holy shit, I can't believe they just showed that. So that was kind of the feeling of what was happening when they were, going through all this. But it was crazy fight, man. Just to have that happen. Josh Emmett has some fucking bombs for fists, and when they hit you, you blow up. Whether that be your face blows up or your brain shuts off. And that's what happened to Bryce Mitchell, and I hope he doesn't have any long-standing effects from this. It was scary to see him convulsing like he was, but that's how you know how nasty of a knockout that was and how dangerous those fists of Josh Emmett are. And that's a featherweight fight right there. So they're fighting at 125. Is that featherweight? No, featherweight's 145. I'm sorry. So yeah, 145, but still, that's so light, and to have that kind of power is scary. Josh Emmett is a talented motherfucker, and Bryce Mitchell's not known for his striking. He's known more for his ground game, his jiu-jitsu, but he definitely did not have the defense there to go up against someone like Josh Emmett. But Josh Emmett was coming off of a 2-fight losing streak against big names, though. Yair Rodriguez and Ilia Topuria. He needed this win, and he got it in a big way. And unfortunately for Bryce Mitchell, he steps in on short notice because Josh Emmett was supposed to fight. Why do I keep forgetting this? I just had it in my head, and I keep forgetting who the fuck he was supposed to fight. But anyway, Bryce Mitchell stepped in on short notice, and man, it turned into a bad night for him. That was a first round KO for Josh Emmett. But Bryce Mitchell put out a video, said, all kinds of good stuff about Joe Rogan, looking out for him, and Josh Emmett not following up with that punch and stuff like that. And he was just grateful for everything. And he's fine. He seemed really good. So I'm glad that he recovered quickly from that, and I hope he takes care of himself and lays off the punches to the head and stuff for a little while, just to give his brain a little bit of time to recover. But yeah, moving into the next fight. So this looks promising because you're seeing Tony Ferguson connecting with a punch on snapping Paddy Pimblett's head back. But unfortunately, it was not a good night for Tony Ferguson. Recording his 7th straight loss against Paddy Pimblett. No, seventh loss overall, but this night was against Paddy Pimblett. And Paddy didn't look super impressive, I would say. He definitely put up a good fight. It was a unanimous decision win for Paddy, which usually means, he definitely did the most, but he didn't look like a world beater. He didn't look like a young guy, a young up-and-coming star fighting an old washed-up guy, which is technically what this fight was made out to be. And, I just would have thought that Paddy would have been out there to put on a show, and I know he did. I know he did try to. That was his... Man, my chair keeps making this noise. I'm going to need to find out what that's about. But Hopefully you didn't hear it. If you did, it wasn't too loud. But yeah, I'm just basically Tony just he looked all right. He didn't look horrible, but it just, again, a 7th loss in a row. Like, what else needs to happen, Tony? I don't want to sit here and say you need to retire, but 7 straight losses is tough, man. Something's got to change. You know, he was training with David Goggins, and that's only good for cardio. And he said it too. You know, he said David Goggins isn't training me in striking or jiu-jitsu or wrestling. He's training me to have a good gas tank, basically, and to be able to withstand the 3 rounds of, you know, really high-paced cardio. And you know, he did look like he, you know, it looked like he got tired near the end, but it looked like Patty was more tired for sure. So I mean, Tony was in good shape and all, but man, he just does not have that spark that he used to have. And I heard Brendan Schaub just going on this tirade about, you know, everyone saying that he should retire, and he's like, well, what about, you know, what about the money that he needs? What about it? What about this? What about that? Who's gonna feed his kids? And I'm like, dude, everyone has to fend for themselves in a certain way. What did Trent? I was about to say the same thing, not saying he needs to retire, but after losing that many times in a row, I think it's time to call it quits, at least soon. Yeah, exactly, Trent. That's. But you know, it is tough because, like, when you say these guys need to retire, like, what else is Tony doing right now? He's shown it in the past when he's been injured that when he isn't fighting, he gets himself in trouble. You know, he's had the DUI, he crashed the car, he had some family issues for a while where his wife was saying that, you know, he was just out of control and he needed some, you know, mental help, if nothing else. And this was all during times that he wasn't fighting. So I know that fighting is something that he needs to keep doing to keep himself sane. Or maybe the training will do it though. But I mean, Tony's a different kind of dude, and I don't want to say just give it up already, but I don't want to see him continue to get hurt. And even though he didn't get knocked the fuck out in this fight, like he did a few fights ago against Michael Chandler, where he just got shut off, he's just not doing nearly enough. And he's just looks bad in all these fights that he's been losing, 7 in a row after a 12 fight win streak. Like, I don't know what else to say. And if you look at his losses, this was a unanimous decision loss here against Paddy Pimblett. Last fight against Bobby Green, submission. He looked pretty good in that fight. I'll give him that. He didn't look horrible, but again, just wasn't able to keep up. Nate Diaz lost by submission, kind of got his ass whooped there. Michael Chandler, that nasty KO front kick, holy shit. If you haven't seen it, look it up. You'll find a picture real quick that shows you exactly what I'm talking about. Benil Dariush, unanimous decision loss. Charles Oliveira, unanimous. I mean, but he's got the strength of schedule is insane. You know, he's fighting ex champs from other organizations. He's fighting you know, the BMF champ. He's fighting ex UFC champs, just badass motherfuckers like Nate Diaz, Bobby Green, you know, up and coming stars like Paddy Pimblett, like, and this guy, and Paddy's so young compared to, you know, Tony. So I don't know, the UFC just needs to give him like one more fight that's an attainable win for him. And no matter what happens there, just, you know, show him a good send-off like they did with the Korean Zombie. Like, do something like that for him, make it known that he's loved and appreciated, and that, you know, it's just kind of time to go. So I feel bad for Tony, and I like the dude, and I've always enjoyed watching his fights. He annoys me here and there sometimes, but for the most part, he's a legend. But he's taking the BJ Penn route where he just doesn't know when to stop, and that starts to hurt your legacy. That starts to hurt the way people see you, and you're gonna go out with this new group of fans only knowing you for being someone who gets their ass whooped over and over and over again, and that sucks. That kills your legacy. And who cares what other people think, but at the same time, just to continue to lose like this, like how is that okay up here? I don't know. I just feel bad for Tony, and I want him to find other ways of just making money and doing something else, and don't wind up in the BKFC or anything like that, because bare knuckle, oh no, you can't do that. Go to like combat jiu-jitsu or something. Like, don't do that either. Just go do jiu-jitsu somewhere. So I don't know. I just hope that he gets it together soon. That's enough of that, because it's sad. Let's move on to Shavkat Rakhmonov versus Wonderboy Thompson. This was submission by Rakhmonov in the second round. Rear naked choke. Here's that sub right here. And he becomes the first person to be able to submit Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Normally, most of Wonderboy's fights are on the feet. He's got that karate stance, that point karate style fighting. And, when he loses because he gets taken down and can't get up and gets put in bad positions and, can't seem to keep the fight on the feet. So, and, Wonderboy's getting up there in age and stuff. So, but he did get, he finally got to walk out with Tenacious D, Jack Black, and Kyle Bass, or what the fuck is his last name? I forget. Anyway, Tenacious D. Well, the reason why he has the Wonderboy name, it was pretty cool to see them out there walking him out. And Wonderboy's in good spirits, especially after Colby calling him a fucking pedophile and stuff, like an idiot. I mean, Jesus. Fucking that shit was so dumb. Wonderboy's like one of the best guys out there, like the nicest dude ever, and you got Colby out there talking shit. But I felt bad for Wonderboy getting this loss against a fucking beast like Shavkat, who is now 18 and fucking 0. 17 and 0. Sorry. Is it 17 or 18? 17 and 0? Whatever. It says 17, but I thought it was 18 now. Anyway, undefeated. He's got big things ahead of him, but he had a bad ankle, which is, you could see the ankle sleeves on his feet right here in this picture, and apparently he had a really bad ankle injury coming into this fight. So it was pretty impressive to see him be able to get that finish against Wonderboy. And then we get to the first title fight, Pantoja versus Royval 3, I think, or 2. I'm sorry. They fought previously with Pantoja getting the win over Royval in the first fight. And again, he gets a win here with a unanimous decision win over Royval. So Pantoja retains his belt. But, I mean, it was a hard-fought fight. It wasn't the most exciting fight in the world. They started off high-paced, but Pantoja just seemed to kind of tire out after a bit. And Royval tried to take advantage, but just couldn't get it done. It just seemed like he couldn't put a lot together in order to put Pantoja in bad positions and be able to get him to, be able to get into a dominant position or be able to land any good enough strikes to knock him out or knock him down. And, Royval, I mean, he did a damn good job. It's just Pantoja's just better. That's all there is to it. And Royval probably needs a few more good fights against bigger named opponents, higher competition than he had in the previous past. Let's see who his other fights were against. Mateusz Nicolau, Matt Snell, Rogerio Botarin, Pantoja, of course, Moreno. And, so like the biggest names that he's fought, that he's gotten wins over, Kai Kara France, which no joke there. Tim Elliott, that's a hell of an opponent there as well. Those are the two biggest names, though, that he's gotten wins over. Submission wins, by the way, both of them. But then his biggest losses are against Pantoja and Moreno. And now he's got another loss against Pantoja. So, I mean, he's fought big names, but not consistently and not so many that it's like, why can't you put it together here? I think he needs a little more time and a little more experience. He's only 31, so he's got a few more years under his belt before it starts becoming, harder for him, especially in his division, 125. So it's tough getting down to that weight, being these guys, especially when they get older. So, Pantoja retains the belt. He got some takedowns. He got some good strikes in and, gets the decision win unanimously. Now we get to the shit show, the circus of Colby fucking Covington being gross, being disgusting, and being just an all-around piece of shit. So here we see something, a tweet from Shaheen Al-Shadi, which, he makes his rounds in the UFC news. But he says Colby Covington implying he'll see Leon Edwards' murdered father in hell is genuinely one of the grossest things I've seen at a UFC presser. That's not even good fight promotion. It's just being a shitty human. And I fully fucking agree. So what happened, for some context, if you weren't, keeping up in the press conference, I think Leon said something like, "See you in hell," and Colby said, "Yeah, and we can say what's up to your pops while you're there," or something like that. I don't remember the exact words. Or he said something about being the seventh layer of hell, and we'll make sure we say hi to your dad while we're there, some shit like that. But anyway, Leon Edwards' dad was murdered when Leon was like 12. So that's obviously not, and regardless of what Leon's dad was or what kind of person he was, because Leon brought that up after. He doubled down saying, I'm not gonna apologize or feel bad for anything I say about a human trafficker, a drug dealer, a womanizer, and all this other shit, because apparently Colby seems to know his background. I don't know, but Leon has spoken about his dad not being the best of people in the world. But listen, you're 12 years old and your dad gets murdered, and now you don't have a dad. That's fucked up. And for Colby to say that to him was even more fucked up. And for me, this is why I don't like Colby Covington. I don't care if it's a persona, a character, anything. He's a piece of shit. Because if that's how you want to be known, well, first of all, he's fake as fuck, because he wasn't like this before. And this is why people say, oh, if you think Brendan Schaub is dumb shit, which is, I don't usually bag on Brendan that much, but I just think it's a fucking annoying that he keeps harping on this. You're a fucking idiot if you think that Colby Covington is a bad person in real life. Well, no, motherfucker, he's fighting in real life. Oh, just because he plays this character. What about Conor McGregor? Well, Conor McGregor backs his shit up for the most part. Hasn't been recently, but he talks a lot of shit, and Conor's crossed the line a bunch of times too, but never like this. Like, this was a bit much. And Conor, you could tell Conor just kind of, because Conor's real, so he has a heart at one point or another, but Colby is just a fake piece of shit, and he's gonna keep it up and keep it going no matter what. We'll get into what he said after the fight. It shows how much of a fucking moron he is, how fake he is, how fucking stupid he is, and how much of a piece of shit character he plays. And if that's the only way I know him, then I don't like him. That's all there is to it. I don't care how he is in real life, because he's a fucking idiot in the fight game. In the public eye, it's what he portrays himself as. And when it comes to that, I say, fuck you, Colby Covington. I can't even say your name right because it pisses me off so much. Fuck you, Colby. That's all I got. That's all I can say. That's how I feel, because I think he's dumb. And everyone's saying this right now. Everyone's like, oh, Colby crossed the line, blah 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 blah. Go back and look. I've always talked shit about Colby, and I'm not just like proud of it. It's just that this is what I've been saying the whole time. I feel vindicated in the things I've said, because he took it there and showed everybody exactly how much of a piece of shit he's willing to be, just for clout, just to sell a fight. Like, how about just be a great fighter with some highlight reel finishes? You can't, because you can't strike, bitch. But do something to really make, do the trash talk, that's fine, but you don't have to go this fucking far. The MAGA bullshit It's done, dude. Like, you're fucking done. You've shown how shitty of a person you are. You just, I don't even know. I have more to say, and I'll wait for the time that I get there, because I will get there here soon. But I did want to go through the fight and give Leon his shine, because he won that fight, and thank God he won that fight. And did it shut Colby up? Fuck no, it didn't, because he's a dumbass and he doesn't know how to shut the fuck up. I wish somebody would knock him out cold. I wish he would have taken Bryce Mitchell's place and let Josh Emmett knock him out into the shadow realm with him convulsing afterwards. Maybe that's mean. Maybe it is. But maybe then he'll fucking learn his lesson. But you know what? He didn't learn his lesson when he got his fucking tooth knocked out and apparent brain damage, and then brought charges against Masvidal. Everyone talks shit about Masvidal sucker punching him. This motherfucker needs to be sucker punched, and he still doesn't fucking learn. That's how dumb and ignorant this stupid fuck is. But Leon Edwards, I wish he would have done better, but he did put on a good show, and he did fight very well, and he did what he needed to and won this fight, and he kept a cool level head while doing it as well. So, you know, he landed some good punches. He didn't bloody the fuck out of Colby's face like we all wish he would have, but he definitely marked him up. There was some damage showing on Colby's face, which he said there wasn't, but Leon also tried to, you know, do that famous kick, but Leon kicks, that's what he does. So when it comes down to it, he's gonna throw those kicks, and you know, Colby halfway blocked him. He didn't get knocked the fuck out like Usman did, but Leon was definitely giving it a shot here or there and trying to get him with that kick, which good for him, because it's worked for him in the past, you know. Sometimes you just gotta try those things that have worked before. So, you know, and then of course Colby's trying to take him down, but Leon showed really good takedown defense, and right away, you know, clinching up for a choke and stuff while Colby's coming in. But I think the biggest thing was Leon's speed. Like, Colby just couldn't keep up with him. Leon's changing stances, going orthodox and then you know, traditional like stance, back and forth, doing it fast, keeping Colby on his feet. Couldn't figure it out and just was too slow. Dana White said it himself. He said Colby looked old and slow. Now Colby's only 35 years old, but he hasn't fought in almost exactly 2 years, because he's sat out with this whole bullshit against Masvidal. Why he got this title shot, I don't even fucking know. But he's been out for that long, and you know, Dana says it all the time. Don't sit around and wait. You sit around and wait and you get rusty. That ring rust is real. And even though Dominic Cruz doesn't think so, but ring rust is real. And you can see it in a lot of guys. Some guys can overcome it, may not look great in their fight, but they don't look horrible either. But you sit out for almost 2 years and you say you have brain damage from getting sucker punched, and then you had a tooth knocked out, so we know you probably just got your teeth fixed and you know, maybe babied that stupid head of yours. But who knows, what the fuck were you doing? Like, what were you doing for these almost 2 years besides trying to win a lawsuit and put Jorge Masvidal in jail? You weren't doing enough, that's for goddamn sure, because you did not look like a fighter that should have been in there fighting with Leon Edwards. Now, I wish Leon would have gotten a finish. I feel like he should have. He did get a little tired near the end there. And the only round Colby won was the 5th round. There's no way around it. Colby definitely won the 5th round. But he seems to think that he won the 3rd, 4th, and 5th. No way in hell. It's really obvious. I don't think anybody's come out and said that Colby won any more than the 5th round. So, yeah, and Colby just continues to be a delusional dumb fuck. Leon made this statement. This guy used my dad's death as entertainment, used my dad's murder as entertainment. It took a lot for me to calm down and stay focused. Which, again, I know I said this about Logan Paul when he was when he was fighting Dylan Dennis, and how before the fight he said, "I forgive you, Dylan," and that, you know, he said he had to do that in order to fight and not fight emotional. And I get that that's kind of, you know, and then he didn't put up much of a fight. But Leon kind of did the same thing, and I'm not going to talk as much shit about Leon because Leon's a real fighter and fucking Logan Paul's just a jackass. But I do wish he came out a little more aggressive, but he kept the level head. He didn't fight emotional, and that's probably why he was able to get the win and still make Colby look like the dumb fuck that he is. But delusional Colby has to continue. And he said, "I feel great. I didn't feel like I got touched. It was an easy fight. I don't have a scratch on me. I'd like to get back to work early next year and lose again like a dumb fuck, because that's what you are. Because you definitely got touched. You definitely had a scratch on you. And you walked out like a little bitch with ice packs on your knees and limping. And now he's claiming that he broke his foot in the first round. And sure, if you did, okay. Yeah, that's going to hinder your performance for sure, but that's weird that you didn't say that after the fight when you claimed that you didn't have a scratch on you. So that's just what kind of person Colby is. I feel like I didn't feel like I got touched, but he has marks on his face. It was an easy fight, but he lost. I don't have a scratch on me. Again, marks on the face. Walks out with ice packs on his legs. He got his leg kicked the shit out of. There was just a gigantic bruise on his leg. Limping. Oh, and he broke his foot. But he didn't get touched or scratched. Not a scratch on him. Right. Okay, Colby. You keep saying that. And you keep just being delusional and living in your fucking fantasy land. And I'm going to stay over here and keep laughing as you keep losing. Because this is his third title fight and he's 0-3. So why they keep giving this guy fucking title shots, I don't know, but they better not give him another one anytime soon. And according to Chael Sonnen, who's good friends with Colby, Chael says that Colby is kind of saying like he doesn't know if he wants to start over. He doesn't know if he wants to go back down in the queue and work his way back up. But that's what I hope for. Just go away, Colby. Go the fuck away. Because nobody likes you. Your shtick is getting old. Has been old. Donald Trump looked embarrassed that you're representing him. And yeah, he walked out in the middle of his speech. I mean, whatever the reasoning was, the optics of that is hilarious. Colby's out there fucking just on Donald Trump's nuts, you know, sucking him off when he's not even around. And Donald's like, "I'm not interested. I'm going to go ahead and go home now." And hey, Donald likes winners. And Colby's not a winner right now. Hasn't been for a while. So fuck off with that shit, Colby. We'll leave everybody with the image of you walking out with ice packs, looking like a little bitch that you are. I wouldn't say anything about this if it was anyone else. But Mr. I don't have a scratch on me, and that was an easy fight. Yeah, fuck off. Nice big fuck you, Colby. And hope your legs don't heal for a while. I'm out. I'm done with that one. I've been holding that back for a minute. Yeah, sorry for the rant on Colby Covington, but I do not like that guy. And he got what he deserved. And I hope that he couldn't walk the next day. And I hope that it takes a while for him to heal up. And I hope that during that time, he might maybe think about how shitty of a person he's been and how maybe this shtick of his isn't working anymore. Maybe come back over to the regular side of things and maybe let your fighting prove that you're worthy of being watched and loved and not just this stupid act that you put out there. Everyone talks about how great of a person he is outside of the spiel and outside of the character, but he never shows it. And when he does break character, everybody is like, "Oh, look, Colby, he's normal." Yeah, but he doesn't keep it up. And he just continuously makes it worse. So, yeah. that about does it for me. UFC 296, not 100% a really great card, but for the most part, I would say the majority of that card was good. We had fun in the watch party. Again, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you always know when I'm having a watch party podcast, a regular podcast, or just putting out any other video content of any sort. Follow all my social media. It's been going on down there. And, of course, it's not there right when I point at it. God damn it. There it is. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Going Rounds Podcast everywhere except for X, formerly known as Twitter. It's only Going Rounds Pod. I am on Facebook and Instagram the most. That's where I post most of everything. But every once in a while, you get a TikTok from me. And I'm not on X that often, but you can reach me there as well. Yeah, and everybody, enjoy your Christmas. Merry Christmas from me and from the Going Rounds podcast, GRP Entertainment. Thank you again for joining me. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for all the support. Thank you, Trent, for watching and interacting with me. Anytime anybody wants to chat it up with me during the live videos, go ahead and feel free to do that, or leave a chat in the leave a comment in the leave a comment in the chat. Even if you're just watching this video later, if you want to comment on anything. That's it. I'll be back next week with something or another. Everybody have a good Christmas and a good weekend. Watch the boxing match if you want to, and if not, just enjoy the family. Have a good time. Merry Christmas, everybody. See you next week. I'm out. Peace.